Meanwhile, I request you be knowing your neighbor. Discuss something with your neighbor. You should know the name of your neighbor, what he does, because I'm going to come and be like, who is this? You should be knowing your neighbor on the right and your neighbor on the left. Okay. Who is ready to tell us? No one is ready. I'm going to pick. I will start from these people who are many here of Skip 13.
My neighbor is David. Yes, on the left is David. He stays in Masanafu and he works with an advocate center. And on the right, she's Sissy. She's a teacher. Actually, she's my ship leader. So you know her? Ship leader, yes. My neighbor on the right and left. On the left. On the left? Yes. She's called Zubeda, and she's an auditor that works with SKA Associates. Yes. David, who works with Ahamia Associates, an advocate.
Yes, Allah. On my right, it is Prosi Kevin. He's working with Mother Kevin. Okay, on the left, I'm about to find out.
On my right, I have Bonnie from KCCA Administrative Department at the City Hall. And on my left, I have Yazid, and he's a pharmacist dealing in supplies. So he's more of a marketeer.
Thank you. They have told me that the tea has gone burnt. I don't know how. So we shall wait. But let me kindly invite Madam Rachel to take up.
So good to see all of you once again. You're most welcome. As has been indicated, our guest speaker is here with us, Professor John McPeak from Syracuse University in the United States. We are just trying to get his presentation ready so we can have an hour's conversation with him. So join me to welcome him as he prepares to come on stage. Thank you. In the meantime, we could hear from some of our ambassadors. What message would you like to give the ship members? Because the ships are starting in a few days' time. Let's hear from some of the ship leaders to fill up this gap. So let me have the ship leaders here. What do you expect of our participants? Can we hear from you in a minute? Please let us know what we are going to do while in the ships.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. You are welcome and congratulations. Applying for the PML program is a really competitive process, but congratulations to you all that made it. My name is Michelle, and I'll be leading Ship 14. Do we have anybody of Ship 14 here? All right, they've not yet come. What should you expect? One, I told my ship members we are stuck with each other for the rest of the year. Yeah. So please, in this time, first get to know one another, because whether you came with a friend or a sister, you're not going to be with them on the same team. So get to make friends, whether you're 10 on a platform, 11, 12, you're stuck with each other till November. Yeah, so I advise you to get to know one another, make friends. And like Rachel said, we are going to have weekly sessions, and I and the rest of my friends will be your facilitators. So as you get to make friends the other side, you're also stuck with us. So please become our friends as we become your friends. The weekly sessions are going to be from 8 to 9. So we can't wait to have you effective Wednesday. And please log in on time. Sacrifice your Wednesdays for the next 6 weeks. And then after that, again, another 6 weeks. Like I said, you're stuck with us for the rest of the year. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of your ship's leaders, and your questions will be answered. I hope you don't feel intimidated by me or any of us, because we are also trying not to feel intimidated by you. Yeah. And I'm so excited. I was in the PML program.
Sure, remember that Kabele doing debates.
I was in the PML program 2023, and I was in Ships 3. So please, Ships 3, where are you? There's no Ships 3. It is okay.
A lot of hands behind you.
Aye, okay. So thank you so much.
You are falling. I'll swing you.
A very good morning to you all. I'm glad to see you. And my name is Monica Drichiru. I'm a teacher. I was in the PML program last year, that is 2023. This year, I'm going to be a facilitator for Ship 16. Anybody in Ship 16? Oh, thank you, Abdel Said. You're very welcome. What I can say is this is a journey of learning and unlearning. We learn every day. And I can say it's a very great journey that you will not regret. I learned a lot, and my leaders supported me so much. I can tell you, you're not going to regret. So take it as an opportunity of learning, an opportunity of growth, an opportunity of mentorship, and yes, getting to know one another. Thank you.
Do you know 30
morning.
seconds? Use them.
Good morning. My name is Rita Francis Akurt, and Franklin Ambassador, former Ship 5. Anyone from Ship 5?
They are coming. They are on their way.
Yes, I'll be facilitating Ship 22. I'm really so excited to meet all of you, and let's be friends. Let me use Michelle's words. We are stuck.
Morning, everyone. Once again, And like I said, I'm the ship facilitator for ship 12. We can only do this if we participate together. The tables are about actions. After we have gone through the outline for the week, we go back and make sure we put whatever we have learned into action. That is the only way to grow. And I'm looking forward to us growing together. Thank you.
Thank you.
A very good morning to everyone. Yeah, I'm Rembe Desire, a former Franklin ambassador, and glad to see you all.
Thank you.
From Ship 9.
She's also going to facilitate ship 9.
Oh, yes. Good morning, friends.
How many want to join ship 9 now?
Yes, a very good morning, friends. Yes, my name is Gideon Onduri, and throughout my life, I always wanted to influence change in people's life, and had not found that purpose. But joining this program, my first session was intentional living, and I found purpose since that day. And I'm happy to stand in front of you today. I will be taking on ships 20, and I'm excited to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Diana Korjendo. As in ship 6 last year. This year I'll be facilitating ship 15. Anyone from ship 15? Wow, nice to meet you. Let's work as a team and grow together.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Judith Kule. I was part of PML. Now I'm an ambassador this year. I'll be facilitating ship 25. Spotted already. I know everybody likes to sleep on Saturday mornings because you don't work on Saturday, but please just stay with us. You'll learn a lot. And at the end, you'll tell me at the end how it will be. And I hope to see more of you. So it's a long journey, but then hang in there.
It's not wrong. Just 1 hour, one evening.
No, I mean the year.
Yeah.
Good morning, team. Yeah, glad to meet you and you to be here. My name is Geoffrey Chimario. I do mostly civil society work, human rights, areas of democratic rights. And I am from ship number 3. So I welcome you here. Please, let's grow together. We need public leaders who are intentional. Yes, that is my call.
Thank you. Thank you, Finn.
Good morning. I'm Nairobi Sisi. Formerly, I was in ship 4. Anyone from ship 4? No one. Oh,
Say.
Yeah, that's it. And this time round, I'm going to facilitate ship 17. At least I've seen 2 people from ship 17. You can raise your hand.
Wow.
With Penny, we are going to be 2. That is a special group for special needs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sisi. Good morning again. My name is Dennis Bua Oscar. I'll be facilitating ships 10. Anyone from 10? Yes. All right. So one thing that is for sure is that leadership is a journey, and you cannot become a leader by mistake, right? So the consistency will count it all, the patience will count it all, and the teamwork will count it all. Thank you very much.
Hello, hello. Good morning. Do I sound a bit damp or sharp and happy? Because I feel sharp and happy, but my voice sounds a little damp. I have come for one small activity to look in the camera and say that people in the Zoom, you are as important as the people in the room. We are happy to have you. Friends, it is my singular honor. Oh, my name is Penny. I'm from ship 17. We are not special needs children. We are just special. It is my singular honor to welcome to speak to us the renowned, the one and only Professor John McPeak from Syracuse University. Professor John. Friends, shall we welcome him warmly? A Ugandan welcome. If we are happy, shall we clap for him once? Clap 2 times? Clap 3 times. Beautiful.
Morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is John McPeak. I'm a professor at Syracuse University. Syracuse is in the state of New York, right in the center of the state. I'm presenting content that was developed by my colleague, Catherine Girard. And I actually presented this earlier this week, and I just noticed I've got the wrong date on this, but that's the day I first presented it, and today's my second presentation of this content. So we're talking about leadership, personality, and strategic behavior today. And so we're going to kind of think about the intersection of what's your personality and what are your behaviors. And to do that, we're going to go through a exercise that's going to talk about different types of personalities. And so part of that is just a quest for kind of self-awareness about who you are. And then it's also to understand that there's people with other personality types that you're interacting with. And part of being a leader is communicating with people. Not all people are the same, and different people hear and listen in different ways. So we're going to kind of explore some of these differences as we go through an exercise this morning. So thinking about yourself as a leader, all right, how do you see yourself? What is your leadership style? How do you act as a leader? How do you act as a change agent? How do you operate successfully? To some extent, leadership can be learned. There are leadership skills. Right? How do you analyze and decide? All right, we're going to think about ways people perceive information. How do you process information? What's your personality type in terms of thinking things through or taking in information and processing it? So as leaders, we're kind of in this balance between visionary and managers. All right, when we're managing things as a leader, no job is more vital to our society than that of a manager. It is the manager who determines whether our social institutions serve us well or whether they squander our talents and resources. By training, I'm an economist. I want to use resources wisely and efficiently. All right, so we want to use our management power efficiently. We don't want to be wasteful in our resources, By leadership, most people mean the capacity of someone to direct and energize the willingness of people in social units to take action and achieve goals. All right. We're trying to mobilize people. To mobilize people, we need to communicate with them. So how do we communicate with people? How do we get them to share in our vision and move forward together? When we're thinking of leadership, as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of an interaction. There's an interaction between your personality, who you are, and your behaviors, what you do. We're going to explore a little bit more in depth right now, the who you are. All right. So this test we're about to embark upon, it's based in kind of psychology from Carl Jung, who was writing in the 1920s. And he talked about archetypes, all right, that there are fundamental kind of building block concepts and types in life. And Myers-Briggs, together, they developed a personality test based on some ideas of dualities, dichotomies. You can be either this type or that type, all right? And so there's a test to help reveal what type you are. The link to that test is there at that URL saying, take the test. And with that, I give you time to take the test. All right. So log into that test and start clicking through and answer the questions. And then eventually you're going to get to the end of it. And when you get to the end of it, it will give you 4 letters. ESNTINTJ. All right. So when you get to your 4 letters, write them down. Underneath each of the 4 letters, it will also say what percent you are. All right. So since we're talking about dichotomies, you could be pretty close to the middle. All right. And that's a low percent. You could also be very extreme. So if I'm an extreme extrovert, very outgoing, outwardly oriented, I could have 100% of my E. I could be sometimes introverted, sometimes extroverted. I might have a 10%. I could be really introverted. I could have 100% on my I, right? So each one of the 4 letters is going to give you which type you are, and then also give you further information about how strong is that affiliation, all right? But you'll get to that later. For now, get yourself to the test and start taking the test by answering a series of questions. And good luck and have fun. I'll join you in a little bit after you've had time to get to the end.
Thank you very much, John. Friends, in case you get any issues logging on or getting the test, please put your hand up and someone will come over to you and help out.
All right, our dear friends online, we are receiving complaints that you're not hearing anything. And the reason is because right now we are doing a test, a personality test. A link has been posted in the chat room. It is humanmetrics.com/personality. We have posted it in the chat room, both on YouTube and on Zoom. And that's what we are doing right now. So the reason you are not hearing is because we are not talking. We are doing the test. Go ahead, get that link and do that test because that is going to be the basis of our session today. And in case you need help, in the chat room, we are ready to help you.
By show of hands, could I see how many people have finished? Okay. And online, if you have finished, please type I have. Wonderful people in the Zoom and on YouTube, if you have finished, please type I have in the chat and let us know that you're ready to proceed to the next step. Professor John is here with us. I sort of feel sorry for you that you're having him for just a few minutes or an hour or two. We have enjoyed him for a full week. But please maximize this time you have with him. When you're done, let's know that you're done so we can proceed and have Professor John tell us what those results that we have gotten actually mean in practical terms. One of the oddest cultural shocks I ever got in a taxi in Sudan was when people started snapping their fingers, and I didn't know what that meant. And when we say Masao here in Uganda, snapping of fingers means I am done, I'm getting out here. So when you're done, could you snap your fingers? Could I see those of us that are done? Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, if you're not done, could you say, wait for me? Okay, 3, 4, 5 wait for me's. People online, are we snapping fingers or are we waiting? If we are done online, could you please type in the chat, I am done now. Juliana, do we have many done nows? We have a number of done nows. The wait for me's, we are going to wait for you for the next 2 minutes. Could you try to wrap it up? Because we are greedy to have John back and drink from his deep well of knowledge and wisdom. 2 minutes and we'll be wrapping it up. People here in the room, we are all aware of the fact that when we are done, we'll have a 4-letter combination that we will share with John or we will share with us. People online, if you are done, please share your 4-letter combination in the chat. That is the combination that John will be explaining to you and that will be used to identify who you are and what you're good at. Sarah Kezia, we are wonderful to see you. Thank you. Oh, we are grateful to see you. We are very happy that you have shared your combination already. And Pamela Akelo, thank you very much for sharing your combination. Friends, keep them coming. We are following on the group, both on Zoom and on YouTube. Oh yes, Oscar. Thank you, Oscar Kakande. We see that you have shared yours as well. And Herbert Habumujisha, thank you very much. Doreen Musimenta, you have shared. Wonderful. Fiona Kukunda, lovely, lovely. Amina Sarah. Okay, thank you. Amina Sarah Nampomba, wonderful. We see your combination. Kongai Juliet, thank you very much. Josephine Lunkuse, thank you. Atwine Elizabeth, Stuart Kasana, Kahunde Fiona, thank you very much. Moai John, Vincent Ayomu, thank you very much. Hope Susan, Uganda Cuthbert, what a lovely name. Thank you, Uganda, for sharing. We are all glad. Musinguzi, we have seen your combination. Opoduro, Techno C16, please Techno, change your username to your personal name. Kandere Lisa, thank you. Galaxy, hey, Galaxy, please change your username to your personal name. We are happy to have you, but please change. Sekande, Abdallah, Bagonza, Charlotte. I can see people on Zoom have mostly finished and shared their combinations. People in the room, do we still have any wait for me's? Wait for me? Oh, wonderful. John, it looks like they're ready for you now.
Okay, so the first letter you have is either an E or an I. E is extroversion. Extroverts, you draw energy from action, talking, acting. You're external thinkers. You're quick. You need people around you. All right. You're very other oriented. The other side of that is introversion. You draw energy from reflection, thinking, acting, maybe saying things, but you're more of an internal thinker than an external thinker. You take your time. It's very deliberative. You require less of the external world. You're more focused on your inner life. Right? So that is the introversion, extroversion dichotomy. That's your first letter. Your second letter is how do you gather information? You can be either an S for sensing or an N for intuitive. Sensing, practical, tangible, realistic, present-oriented, fact-based, linear. You distrust hunches. You find meaning in data. You like routine. Or you could be intuitive, innovative, abstract, future-oriented, conceptual. You rely on flashes of insights and ingenuity. You find meaning in how data relates to patterns and theory. You are bored with routine. You have periodic bursts of energy. So that's the second letter. It's an S or an N. Sensing or intuitive, capturing how you process information. The third letter, you can be T or F, a thinker or a feeler. So how do you make decisions? You can be a thinker. You're focused on logic, rationality. You kind of stand outside and look at the situation from a logical perspective. More impersonal, more fact procedure based. You have a premium on fairness. You focus on critiques and analysis. You have fundamental principles that guide how you make decisions. A feeler is more empathetic, all right? More about your feelings about. You get inside the situation. You are very personal. You look at the implications for people and harmony when you're making a decision. You're judging on likes and dislike. You're based on values, okay, when you're processing decisions. The last letter, how do you live? All right. Are you a judging person, a J? Matters are closed. Things appear concrete. You like being organized. You decide quickly. You're very focused on doing things on time and meeting a deadline. The other side of the dichotomy is perceiving. You're always thinking there's more to learn. You're going to hold back. You're open to suggestions. You're going to appear abstract. You're flexible about options. You agonize over decisions, and it takes you a long time to make a decision. All right. So your instinct when you're trying to live is to wait, gather more information. And for each one of those, you have a percent that tells you how strong you are on a continuum of 0 to 100%. All right, so there's 4 main types of people. All right, when we did this test earlier this week, 50% of the people who took the test fell into this category. Catalyst, an intuitive feeler. You're visual, future-oriented, work in ideas, and you're people-oriented. You seek grand ideas and the significance to people. Very diplomatic. You search for meaning and self-awareness. You're focused on relationships. These people, if we think of them, they're mobilizers, they're crusaders, they're prophets. All right, that's their kind of leadership style. As leaders, they're charismatic. They see possibilities for people and organizations. They're natural communicators. They're patient with complexity. They're democratic, supportive, spokespeople, cheerleaders. All right, so they're 12% of the United States population falls into this category. Visionaries, NTs, intuitive thinkers, visual, future-oriented, ideas, results. You need options and reflection, very logic, strategic, power, self-critical, self-oriented. These are directors, architects, designers, inventors, strategists. As a leader, you use intellect. You enjoy complexity. You avoid mistakes, making the same mistake twice. You have high standards. You're an architect of change, right? You're systems-oriented. 12% of the US population falls into that category. SP, sensing, perceiving, auditory, present-oriented, tactical, realistic. You have an urge to do things. You test limits. In a crisis, you're the person to go to. You're free to act. You're process-oriented. Performers, promoters, salespeople fall into the SP category. They're crisis managers. They seek change, but uses what is there. Change is what can be changed, spur to action, seize problems, a natural negotiator, unfettered by the past, right? 38% of the US population falls into that category. The temperament is a troubleshooter, a beachmaster, a diplomat. Beachmaster is kind of Navy term for when the boats land the people, you're the person who's organizing and coming up with who's doing what in an uncertain situation. Stabilizer, an SJ, sensitive judging, present, logistical, preserve and serve, detail-oriented, a caretaker, very aware of the hierarchy, very serious. People who are administrators, conservators, inspectors, right? As leaders, they establish policies, structures, standard operating procedures, social responsibility and traditions, obligations. They're very decisive. They make plans. They complement an NF leader, right? So this is a traditionalist, a stabilizer, a consolidator, sort of a by the rules person, right? That's also 38% of the US population. All right, so those are kind of the broader categories if we're focusing on 2 of the letters, but if we look at the all 4 of your letters, we can go through the different types. ISFJ, okay. ISFJ are service-oriented. Do we have ISFJs here today? Okay. A desire to serve, a sense of history and traditions, adhere to established way, enjoy exercising routines, dependable, satisfied when serving needs, discomfort if others are not following the rules. They use their status to their advantage. They may try to do too much. They are 13.8% of the US population, and that's the largest share. ESFJ, harmony. They're sociable, they nurture institutions, they enjoy rituals and status, they have personalized relationships, very loyal, duty, service-oriented, outgoing, natural salespeople, 12% of the US population. And how many people in this room? Okay, so we've got 3, 4 people in the room. Okay. ISTJ. Do we have ISTJs? That what you got last time too? Okay. All right, so ISTJs, pillars of strength. So they're decisive, they're guardians of institutions, they're quiet and serious, persevering and dependable, thorough. They handle detailed figures. They're patient with work and procedures. They're coordinators. They're not always as patient with people, but they're patient with the rules. That's 11.6 of the US population. ISFP. Do we have ISFPs? All right, I don't see any ISFPs. All right, artisans caught up in the action, the here and now. They're optimistic and cheerful, egalitarian, risk-taking, attuned to concreteness and specificity. In that sense, they're artists. Unconditionally kind and somewhat reserved. 8.8% of the US population. ESTJs. Do we have ESTJs? Okay. Responsible, pillars of the community. They organize procedures, detailed rules and regulations to get the job done right. They're realistic, curious about processes. They're not as focused on theories. They're loyal, but they do not shirk duty. They're punctual. They need effort to remain open to others and new ideas. 8.7% of the US population. ESFPs. Do we have ESFPs? Okay, 2. All right. All right, performers. They're fun, generistic, optimistic, active. They like active jobs with people. They rely on personal relationships and common sense for decision making. They want to have accurate data on people. They have immediate knowledge that they gain for utility. 8.5% of the US population. Sound right? Okay. ENFP. We got some ENFPs? We got 1. All right. ENFP, authentic, spontaneous. The intense emotional experience is vital for them to experience. They have pursuit of the novel, new. They also have a focus on what might be. So they want the latest thing and they also want to know what's coming next. Enthusiastic, charming. Well, that's good. They solve problems. They have extensive networks, and that's 8.1% of the US population. ISTPs. Do we have ISTPs? You're going to be like the other group because it all came right at the end for the group on Tuesday when we did this. All right. An ISTP is a battle leader, artful action, self-leading, fearless, has mastery of tools. They're impulsive. They communicate through action. They're called the battle leaders, and they're loyal to people who are their equals, and that's 5.4% of the US population. INFP. Do we have INFPs? Okay. INFPs are idealists. They care deeply. They are values driven. They have a sense of honor. They adaptable. They welcome new ideas. They deal with complexity. They're bored with routine. They have a facility for language. They make sacrifices for the good, and they may come across as being shy. All right. 4.4% of the US population. ESTPs. Do we have ESTPs? We have two ESTPs. Okay. People of action. They're friendly. They're socially sophisticated. They're resourceful. They're masters of cues and motivations of others. They're negotiators. They're persuasive. They can sell ideas. The end justifies the mean. They are kind of turnaround, changing direction leaders. They're entrepreneurs, open to new ideas. They live in the moment, but they're kind of bored by the follow-up detail. They're very much into the present. All right. So that is 4.3% of the US population. INTPs. Do we have INTPs? Okay. INTPs are architects. They search for relevant and pertinent facts. They're very precise. Logic has the sway with them, not personal authority. Does it make sense? They persevere in analysis until an issue is comprehended. Then they move on to a new idea. For them, it's essential that the world is understood. They're kind of intellectual. They're theoreticians. They tend to work alone. So probably that's why they're not here in a leadership training here. So that's 3% of the US population. ENTPs. Do we have ENTPs? Okay. Inventors. They exercise ingenuity. They enjoy improvisation. They're good at analysis. They're always looking for a better way. They're optimistic that we can find a better way. They value adaptability. They value innovation. They're conversationalists. They're very talkative. They're very much trying to motivate people. They enjoy politics. They're nonconformists. And they avoid routine. 3.2% of the US population. ENFJ. Do we have ENFJs? Okay. This is really consistent with the training we did earlier this week because disproportionately our group was ENFJs. All right, so ENFJs are teachers. They're leaders of groups. That sort of makes sense, right? You're part of a leadership program because you're leaders and you're leaders. So that matches. So you're leaders of group. You have charisma. You can communicate caring and concern very fluently. All right, you're very good at communication. All right. You know the motivations of others. You're trustworthy, even-tempered. You value harmony. You're able to handle complexity. It doesn't overwhelm you if it's a complex situation. You like things settled. You also like things planned ahead. All right. That's 2.5 of the US population. And I'll say, like when we did this test earlier this week, it was 25% of the ambassadors were in this category. INTJ. Any INTJs? I welcome you because I'm one too. All right. INTJs are builders. They have ideas. They make decisions. They're supreme pragmatists. They accept authority if it makes sense. They're brainstormers. They drive to completion. They really focus until they get through to the end of a task. They respond to challenges with creativity. They're entrepreneurs who make theory practical. They're movers of mountains, 2.1% of the population. I also found out that it's disproportionately professors are in this category. So a lot of academics are in this category. ENTJs. Do we have ENTJs? All right, I got a couple, two of them. All right, two ENTJs. Your commandants. You need to lead. You give structure through policies and goals versus procedures. You must have a reason, right? So you want to think things through. You have a vision and you are focused on communicating your vision. You're organized into systems with plans and goals. You are devoted to work. Your focus is on reducing inefficiencies. You have a quest for efficiency, which makes it sometimes impersonal, because if something's inefficient, you're going to address it, even if it might ruffle feathers or harm people's feelings. 1.8% of the US population. INFJ. Do we have INFJs? Okay, we've got two INFJs. This was also 25% of the ambassadors disproportionately. So they fell into this category. Counselors, you focus on possibilities, you're values oriented, you drive to contribute and help others. You think of things as being deep and complicated. You have a vivid imagination, a talent for communication and language. You enjoy problem solving. You can work alone or with others. And that's 1.5% of the US population. All right. That should have been all of them. So has everyone identified themselves? Has anyone not? Which one? ENFJ. All right, that's the teacher, ENFJ. With ENFJ. Oh, yeah, that's, don't worry about the A. it's the 4. Yeah. Okay, so if we put all of these on the chart here all together at once, we've got the 4 main types here. We've got idealists, who are NFs, rationalists, all right? So the idealists are diplomatic, right? The rationalists, right, are strategic. The SJs are logistical, all right? So these are the managing type people, all right? And then we've got our artisans, our SP. They're kind of tactical, thinking about how we're going to achieve things and strategizing about them, right? We can break down within our diplomatic into, is their role directive or informative? All right, so are they good at telling people what they should be doing, or are they better at kind of informing people and letting them make the decisions? We can go to the NFJs or the NFPs. All right, the NFJs tend to be mentors. They help develop people, or they can be mediating advocates. So they kind of get in the middle on these discussions. For the rationalists, they can be kind of coordinators. Our NTJs, they're good at arranging things, or they could be engineers, kind of good at constructing things, NTPs. Under the guardians, they can be administrators, which are the STJs. They're good at regulating things, or they can be conservators, SFJ. SFJs tend to support things, keep things as they are. Then finally, in our category of the artisans, you can be an operator, an STP, who's trying to expedite things, to move things through quickly and efficiently, or entertainer, an SFP, who improvises, right? And then finally, we can do into our role variant of these different types. We can think of whether they're expressive or reserved. All right, so the ENFJ, which was quite a few people, they are teachers and they get focus on educating. If they are INFJs, they focus on guiding. All right, so leadership often falls into that category, those two categories. All right, so the NFJs. We could think of the advocates can fall into the champions, the ENFPs, who are motivating in their approach to problems. Or we could think of them as healers, all right? They try to have conciliation. They try to bring people together, and that's an INFP personality type. Under the coordinators, we have the field marshal, the characteristic, the ENTJ. They're good at mobilizing people and getting them to do things in a coordinated fashion. Or we have the mastermind, who is coordinating, but is more focused on the plan and getting the plan correct. All right. And so the masterminds are the INTJs. All right. They're good at strategizing. Under the engineers, we can have the inventors, the ENTPs, who are devising things. All right. So they're kind of visualizing and creating. Or we could think about the architects. All right. So our INTPs are people who are designing and thinking about how things fit together. All right. So an architect is figuring out how to make a building structurally sound. Under our guardians, we have the administrators, who can be either an ESTJ, right, who enforce rules and regulations and norms, or we could have inspectors, ISTJs, who are good at certifying things, have met the standards that we require. Under conservators, we can have the providers, the ESFJ, they're good at supplying things. Or we could have the protectors, the ISFJs, who are good at securing things, all right, when there's resources in question. In our last category, the artisans, we can have the operators. Operators break into promoters, ESTP characteristic, and those are people who are very good at persuading. And we can have crafters, ISTP, and they're people who are operating with a more hands-on approach, all right? As opposed to kind of persuading people, they're creating with their own hands. And then the entertainers can break into the performers, our ESFPs, who are demonstrating for people how things should be done, or they could be composers, an ISFP, who are good at synthesizing things, all right, bringing things together and mixing them, all right? So one of the things with these characteristics is knowing sort of your own approach and knowing a little bit about your own personality, since we just sort of think we are who we are and we don't always think about how we fit in with other people who have other characteristics. So one goal of this is just to be kind of self-aware. How am I? How are other people going to perceive me? Because we all have a personality type. These are not rigid categories. This is kind of a thought experiment, and it's a way just of going through and coming up with a pattern in how you respond to those questions. But it is kind of a way of thinking about how you stand in relation to other people. And that's the other part of the exercise, is if you're going to communicate, you're not just communicating to yourself or people like you. You're often communicating to other kinds of people. And as you saw, one of the things we had up there was, how do people process information? People process information differently. All right. Some people are more, give me the facts. Other people are more feeling oriented. How does this make me feel? All right. A final part of that, to put this together, is thinking about working in teams. All right. One of the things about personality types in a team is often you want different personality types. You want people who complement you. If someone is outgoing and kind of good at managing things, you also need people who are kind of inward thinking and good at the planning. Right. So we need different kinds of people on our team if the team is going to succeed. Right. So we did some other exercises this week, but that came to be kind of a pattern that kept coming up, that how do we get a team together to work? Because people are going to have different strengths and things that are their natural tendency. Some people are really good at managing. Some people are really good at human relations. Some people are really good at visualization and motivating. And some people are really good at political mobilization and persuading. Each one of us sort of is drawn to one of those more than others. And together we kind of need our team to have all the different types of people to be functional, because we need each of those talents for the overall effort to succeed. So as we kind of wrap up thinking about the personality types, one thing just to be clear, it's not that there's good type and bad type. They're just different types, right? So there's not a good outcome to this test. There's just your outcome to this test. And it doesn't tell you anything that you need to do to change who you are. It's just more a test to help you think through how you are and how you stand in relation to other people. And so that was our Myers-Briggs personality test. So at this point, if you have any questions or comments, we can open it up to the audience. So. Or any chat questions if they come in.
Any comments? Anyone asking?
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Are there scenarios when someone is not proud of their personality and they want to improve and change to another personality? What can they do? Because at times your personality may be your weakness towards attaining that you want, but how can you change to a better person through changing your personality?
Friends, any question to John that you can throw now about your personality?
Thank you very much for the presentation. Now, sometimes if you ask someone to describe themselves, they tend to say what they feel is best. So my question is around the accuracy of this test. In case you gave two different individuals, for example, if you ask me to take that test and also told someone that has stayed with me for long, who best understands me, to also take the same test on my behalf, can we get same results?
My question is about the different personalities being under one team. If, say, you are a leader of a team, are there any scientifically proven ways of motivating these different personalities?
Thank you very much, Professor. My question or concern is if I find myself that my personality may not be supportive of the role that I play in my current job, how do I find help to change my personality, or to have support from people whose personality will help me to achieve what I want to achieve?
Okay, two more questions to John.
Mine is in relation to relationships between these personalities. Are there possibilities that if we all belong to the same personality group, that if put together in one team would have conflicts? I'm assuming there is one that is for ENTJ, the mobilizers. So who mobilizes who when all of you are mobilizers?
Thank you for the presentation. My question is, as we move in our careers and the different managers that, oversee our work, we tend to mirror their personalities. So I would like to know if indeed it's possible that each personality evolves over time in different seasons with different managers.
Okay, thank you. We shall allow John to first answer those questions before we go to the friends online. Just a reminder, if you haven't gotten any ship, you have not been put in any ship, please, we are going to put your name here. John, you have the floor.
Okay. With regard to the first question about changing your personality, at least to my knowledge, for the most part, your personality can change over time, but for the most part, it stays pretty steady. You can do things like that are against your type. Like if you're an introvert, like one of the things I discovered when I was much younger is I was nervous speaking in front of people. And so if I'm going to be a professor and show up in Kampala to a room full of people I don't know and talk, I got to get a little more extroverted. So I trained myself. I put myself in a position of public speaking any chance I could get until I wasn't afraid anymore. It didn't make me nervous. So you can't really I'm still an introvert. I still can climb inside my head. I've worked in, many places that have involved long car rides, like 8 hours in the car. So I'm able to climb up in my head for an 8-hour trip through rural Mali, and that's okay. I don't have to have a lot of external input. And I brought up rural Mali because one time I was on a team and we were traveling from Bamako up to Kai, which is way up near the Senegal border. And Karen, who was working with me, after about an hour, just grabbed me by the arm and said, "John, she was an extrovert." So she was not able to just kind of climb up in her head and go away for 8 hours. Right. So I don't think you can fundamentally change who you are, but you definitely can work on things to make yourself better. Or if you're doing something that is not necessarily aligned with your personality type, through practice, yes, you can work on things. The idea of working in teams is that, yes, you want people who complement. If we have everybody who is kind of the commander, we don't have anyone who's going to implement things, right? So you don't want all generals. You got to have some soldiers, right? You got to kind of have people filling the different roles. Right. And so part of that is understanding how you motivate people. Some people are going to be motivated by more of the feeling. Others are motivated more by the facts. Different people will be motivated by different approaches. And so if you're motivating a team, you may think you have decisively proven your case through facts and logic, and they're staring blankly at you because that's just not how they process information, right? They need you to think about, well, how is this going to be perceived by people? How is this going to feel for people, rather than these are the cold, dry facts that explain the conclusion I've come to, right? So it turns into a little bit of a question of, if you're trying to persuade, you may need different approaches for different kinds of people. And if you're a person who is kind of logic oriented and you think, well, I've just decisively proven my case, so why are you still staring at me with concern? Right? Well, I need to appeal to kind of the emotional sense of how this feels, right? If your personality is not supportive of your role, again, I don't think you can change fundamentally who you are, but you can exercise or just sort of be self-aware. And if you think there are aspects that aren't aligned with the role you're in, again, there are things you can do to kind of work against type, but just to develop some skills that wouldn't come naturally, maybe, or don't come as easily to you as they might come to other personalities. But definitely, like me speaking in front of people, I was able to do something about it, and which is good because my whole job is standing in front of rooms teaching, right? So that's kind of, there are exercises you can do. Okay, so if your relationships are all the same, will you have conflict? Yeah, but I mean, if everyone in the group has the same personality type, there can tend to be conflicts. There are ways it makes it easier, in the sense that you're all perceiving and judging things in the same way. So you're going to be persuaded because you're sort of all processing information the same way. So when we did this before, we had 50% of the group were NFJs. All right. So if we got the NFJs, those NFJs, the mentoring, developing, who are the teachers and the counselors, disproportionately leaders fall into that category, right? And so that's the good thing, is you communicate well with other leaders. That's also sometimes the challenge. You all want to be leaders, right? So if everyone wants to be a leader, where are your followers? Right? So if your whole team is leading, that can lead to conflict too, right? So it can go either way. In some ways it makes it easier, but it also, in certain settings like a leadership training, if each person wants to be a leader. That's great if they're leading their thing and you're coming together and talking about it like you are here. But if we were trying to organize ourselves and each one of you wants to be the leader, then we might have some problems, right? Because it's sort of against your type to be the directed. You like directing, right? So back to my questions here. In a work setting, when you have the different managers, the personality, I would say it's not so much that your personality is going to change over time. It's more that you have a more robust set of experiences about knowing how to deal with people, because the more people you deal with, the more you know, okay, this worked with this person, this is definitely not working with that person, and you learn to sort of make your personality, your way of thinking about things and processing. How better can I communicate that to someone who has another way of processing and thinking and judging and making decisions? All right. So I think it's more as we go through life, I can figure out, well, this is going to work with that person. All right. But it's not going to work with that person. So some people, you know, when you come in to talk to them professionally, you start out by asking about their family, their wife, their kids, right? For some people, that is perfectly expected. We start by interacting as human beings, and then we get to business. Then there are other people you might deal with when they don't want personal sharing. They want to get to business, all right? And so if you're bringing personal questions in, they don't want to tell you about their family, right? They don't want you to tell them about their family. So for one person, it's an insult if you don't open up personally, human being to human being. For another person, it's like, why are you telling me this? We need to talk about where the invoices are, right? So, you know, it's sort of, you deal, you know, in my workplace, I know there are some people I should deal with by talking about kids. Other people, I don't talk about their kids. We get right to business, right? So, yeah.
We have some questions online.
Okay.
There's one question from Abenacho Rachel. She asks, or she first says that the categorization of ENFJ is true about me, or that's about Rachel, about her. What are the areas of weaknesses that one should keep an eye out for as they do their daily interactions? That is ENFJ, areas of weaknesses. I don't know if I should read you a few more from online or if you would like to take them one by one.
Maybe these we'll do one by one.
Okay, lovely.
And again, I think you probably don't think about personality types as exposing weaknesses. More, it's exposing your kind of your strengths. With your personality type, it tends to make certain things easier. Now, one of the exercises we did is thinking about, with another personality test tool, was thinking about our strengths. But for each one of the strengths, built into it is that it also can be a weakness, right? So if I am kind of feel naturally my personality type makes me a teacher, a ENFJ, right? Well, a weakness is if I come across as a teacher all the time, I also kind of come across as a know-it-all because I'm always explaining things to people because I think they need things explained to them. People don't always want things explained to them, right? Not everybody's going to take it kindly if he's like, well, let me show you how to do that. Let me tell you what you're doing wrong, right? So that can be a problem if we sort of don't get the feedback that people don't always like us being put in the role because teacher-student has a hierarchy, right? If you're the teacher, you think you know stuff they don't, right? In American culture, we have a thing called mansplaining because men tend to explain things to women, assuming women don't know them, which women find really offensive. you know, let me tell you how to work a microphone. You don't know. It's like, obviously I know how to work a microphone. Why are you explaining this to me? Right? So that is a kind of an issue to think about. Is my approach maybe going to come off in a way that I don't mean it to be. But yeah, if I'm always trying to teach people, that can get on their nerves. So being a little more sensitive to what people might already know, or not feeling compelled to instruct them in all situations. All right, that might be a way to think about if you're naturally a teacher, things you can perceive and kind of think about how that's coming off to other people. All right, so that's.
Thank you very much, John. I will read maybe 2 more questions, but friends, could you go down in the page, the same page where you did the test? You will realize that after doing the test, when you get your results at the bottom, you will find some weaknesses, some points of strengths. You will find information that will inform you about your results, really. So John, there's someone that has asked here online whether a leader should use the results or the personality test to assign duties to their teammates. Would it be informative? Can a leader use the personality test to assign roles or make deployments in their team? That is one person asking. And then I have another person here who asks what the common misconceptions or stereotypes about INFJs and what the common misconceptions and stereotypes are about INFJs and how accurate they are. And finally, just one last question is what are some potential career paths or life goals that align well with INFJ personality type?
They were both INFJ questions, right? Yeah. As for building a team, I think you could probably get over ascribing these results to take it directly to build a team. I think probably what's better is thinking about your type and being aware that there are other types out there, and it's more a question of how do you interact personally, right? So I wouldn't so much say take the results and take that forward to build a team, is just know when you're building your team, there are people who have different ways than you of processing information and making decisions. And how does that work with your team chemistry? And you knew that before you did the personality test. You know when a team is working and you know when a team is dysfunctional. So this really doesn't change that. It gives you maybe a little bit of an insight into why a team might either work or not work based on people having a bit different personality types. But I don't know that I would advise you to have people take this test before you hire them or assign roles. That might be overinterpreting. The questions about the ENFJs and the INFJs, which again, disproportionately are the kinds of people who are drawn to leadership. That's who's going to show up. All right. People who are leaders, teachers. I mean, you go into your community and you think there is something you can do to help. You have a vision. You want to improve things. You have knowledge. You want to share knowledge. If you're the INFJ, counselors, you're advising people. So both a counselor and a teacher believe they can do things that will improve. All right. You can bring about an improvement. You're going to educate someone who's a student. By the time they're done with your experience together, they will know things they didn't know before. When you're a counselor, you are saying, I can give you wise advice, right? I'm giving you advice because I, again, know things that you might not know, and I'm helping you work through a process to be able to better make your own decision, right? So those are both positions where there is, in a sense, one person is elevated above the other, right? If you're the teacher, you're elevated above the student. If you're the counselor, well, that's sort of saying that I've got wisdom and judgment, and I'm sharing that with you. And again, not everyone enjoys being taught or lectured to. or being counseled, right? So if we're an INFJ, we think, you know what people need? My advice. And if people don't really want your advice, you're going to be confused. Why don't they want to benefit from my wisdom? Right? So that's a way of thinking about the downfall or this kind of the weak side of that personality type. You might be instructing people who are like, what? Who are you to be instructing me? And if you're counseling people, why are you giving me advice? All right. I'm thinking this through myself. I don't want advice. Right. So that's kind of the thing to look out for if you're in that category. And as we saw before, people in leadership roles fall into that disproportionately, far beyond kind of a random sample of the population. You are what we call self-selected. You're here for a reason. You're here because you've demonstrated leadership qualities and you're here to improve your leadership qualities. Well, there we go. We're counseling and educating all over the place, right? And that's just something to think about with leadership. Are you explaining things to people who want explanations, or is that really not what they want? Are you instructing people who you think need instruction when they may not feel they want instruction? Penny, any?
Thank you very much, John. There's some very interesting questions online, but Shalon has been a very able assistant for you. She's been handling things in the kitchen while you are serving here at the table. So, friends, shall we appreciate John? Hasn't he taught us about ourselves? How many of us know ourselves a little better than we did when we walked in here? Hey, friends. Thank you very much. Shall we give him a very, very warm PML applause? Yes, like we did last time. PML. Again. And the third time. Thank you very much, John. We couldn't have asked for better.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
It's
very
been a
much.
pleasure spending this time with you.
Okay, thank you very much. And now, friends, last time we met, there was a person we couldn't communicate with, those of us that were in the room. We could hear her, she couldn't hear us. We could see her, she could see us, but she couldn't feel us because she couldn't hear us. We thank God for technology, for finances, for ability. She is in the room with us today. Friends, we have our vision bearer. We have the mother of the children. Now this is the third child, so are they still Balongo? She is the mother of the many children. The Bible says that you will be a mother of children, not just a child. So she is the mother of the children. Friends, put your hands together and give Shalon a PML welcome. Lovely. One more time. Excellent. Two more times. And it waned very miserably, but I appreciate you, dear friends. It is a total delight for me to be with you this morning. I am trying to move this so that it is in a place where I am not giving my online audience my back, but my face. We could have it here. And since I am not, thank you. And since I am not using the projection, I am simply going to stand in front of you, but you're even lucky. See my height. It has nothing on you. You can see everything behind that, even if I stood and did whatever I wanted. I appreciate you. It is such a delight to put faces to the names I have seen over and over and over again. In November, when we sent out the call with the embassy for you to apply for this program, many of you, over 500, made the application. And when the selection was done and it was sent to us at the Franklin Institute,
We were delighted to see the names. Now, my friends, my colleagues at Franklin have seen at least, they have met you at least once. I haven't met any of you. I am elated. If I had the time, I would ask each of you who you are, where, but I can tell you that before December, that will have happened, because we intend to create opportunities for all of us to know one another. We cannot drive a mission unless we know each other. Strangers cannot drive a mission. And so it is our deliberate intention here that we know each other more and more. But before we know each other, we ensure that you know yourself. At Franklin, at the PML, we believe that leadership begins with self. That is why this test that we are starting with is for you to understand yourself. You will not hear us talking about how the politicians are not doing the right thing, not with us. You will not hear us talking about the poor roads and the potholes in Kampala and across Uganda, not us. You will hear us talking about what am I doing to grow myself? What am I doing to grow others? And that is the ripple effect that will change the outer things that we are concerned about. So here, we do not talk about others. The only time we talk about others is when we want to grow them. So we ask, what are you doing to grow yourself? What are you doing to grow others? And these questions will be answered right in this program and even beyond. Allow me now to introduce myself as Shalon Mugabe. And today I came with some guests. There are some guests in the room. I may need some help to tap them so that these guests are introduced. They are putting on purple. I am asking them to join me here. Yes, excellent, beautiful. How kind, how kind, how kind, how kind, how kind. I am going to ask my dear friends, they will simply mention their names and then I will release them back to their busy stations. But today I decided to come with them, that together we may meet you. You will tell us your name, you'll tell us the class you are in. And I think that would be sufficient. Not so. We are starting here.
My name is Eliana Bimanya, and I am in year 5.
Wonderful. Clap for Elion Abimanya Aboyemorok. Thank you.
My name is Nisilele Biagaba. I'm in year 8, which is the equivalent of senior 2, according to Cambridge School. I am 12 years old. Yeah.
Clap for Nisilele Biagaba.
My name is Elwa Ajuka, and I'm in kindergarten class.
Don't you want to clap for Elwa? Beautiful. Beautiful. You can go back to your stations. Today I came with this team, and you are the first cohort to meet this team. The previous cohorts have not met this team. You will meet someone else before the session ends because we decided that we would come together so that they see what we do, but also it helps us to maximize the little time we have together. So I decided to come with them, 1, to be with them, but 2, for you to meet them. This program started in 2022. And at that time, I, Shalon, had a desire for public managers and leaders to have a platform where they can express themselves where they can grow and where they can influence change within our service. And I would like to ask my first cohort of 2022, they are back as ambassadors. Cohort 2022, I know they are busy doing a lot of things for this to happen, but we have some in the room now. They are not here except Timothy, Esther, and Lucky. Clap for them. Thank you very much. These are only 3, but there were 12. We were a team of 12 who returned in 2023. In 2023, we have some others who have now joined the ambassadors team. 2023 cohort, where are you? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This is how it happens, friends. You stay with us for a whole year. At the end of the year, we give opportunity to only those who feel that they have a desire, 1, to change the narrative of the public service, but 2, they want to grow someone else. We do not take everyone because everyone doesn't have that. Many are called, only a few are chosen. And so we take on those from among you that are willing to expand the impact, multiply it, and are willing to grow someone else behind them. Those return to us as Franklin ambassadors. You have that opportunity. But let's tell you this, friends, we do not do a mass recruitment. We take only those who feel that they have the drive to be part of this, to whom the vision makes sense. We do not take those who are simply looking out for another course to tick off and they're out of the program. We take those who feel that 1, they have bought into the vision, they want to grow someone else, they want to multiply the impact of this program and the many other programs that we have. And so I would like to appreciate the Franklin ambassadors in a very special way. Thank you for making this dream grow, not by addition, but by multiplication. Ambassadors, you know how much you mean to me. You know how much you mean to Franklin. You know what we do. And that is simply the beginning. Ambassadors know that ambassadors have privileges. But those privileges are not hidden from you. When you have gone through this program, you will have an opportunity to have access to those programs. I am looking forward to many of you crossing over after your graduation in November, crossing over and becoming our Franklin ambassadors. Who am I? I am Shalon Mugabe. I am a public servant for the last 19 years. And I think next year, around July, I will be making 20 years in the public service. And by the way, I am just being careful so you do not know how old I am. There are certain years that I decided to mute. The years when I served with Monitor Publications as a sub-editor, I have not talked about those. They are not included in the 20. The time I spent at Makerere University as a teacher of literature and English, I am not talking about those. The ones I'm talking about have been cut out carefully to keep you guessing, to keep you guessing. So those that I'm talking about, those that I have now accepted to be fronting as the years of my public service will be 20 next year in July. And I know somewhere, there must be someone somewhere preparing to celebrate that with me. Like I have already said, I started my career with Makerere University as a teacher. Do we have some lecturers here? Present. We have a lecturer there. I started at Makerere University soon after my graduation. I had a stint in the media houses for both Monitor publications as well as Daily Monitor, as well as the New Vision, before I joined the Parliament of Uganda, where I served for many years. And in January this year, I left my beloved Parliament of Uganda and joined the East African community to serve as the editor of Hansard in the East African Legislative Assembly. Therefore, I live in Arusha. Now, the ambassadors know that when we were going through the years, that was not part of the story. But here we grow. As I grow you friends, I am also growing. That is our formula here. Our expectation is that you will grow so that the people behind you are also growing. If you could get that philosophy, I am telling you, your growth is simply going to multiply to effects that you have not even imagined. If only you can grow, so your team will also grow. But if you grow just yourself and not your team, even there, your growth will be hampered. So it is a double-edged sword. On one hand, growing yourself. On the other hand, growing someone else. So that is me. And why, when we started this, it was just a few of us, and now we are growing. This program has its background in the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which is a program that is sponsored by the US State Department. It was actually President Barack Obama's flagship program. It started in 2014. I was in the 2016 cohort. From here, I went to the US to study public management, and I was at Syracuse University in New York. That is where I met John. And that is how John comes to facilitate a session with you. And John is simply one of the many that you're going to interact with. We would like to create a linkage for us between Uganda and other nations so that we are able to benchmark on one another. They are able to equip us, but we are also able to give what we are able to give. I am seeing a number of you in organizations, attached to organizations in the US, and giving your monitoring and evaluation services, giving your engineering expertise, giving your writing skills, giving your media relations skills, such that you may learn, but also you may give back. And I am seeing most of you opening up opportunities in the organizations where you work so that the US professionals and from other countries can come in those organizations and work with us, that we may have that relationship that motivates growth. Growth that is not only inward looking, but is also that has a global outlook. That is the dream I see in the eyes of each one of you. And thankfully, I don't see any doubt in any of your eyes. And I am grateful for that. So that is how John comes here, because John and I applied for a grant, the US State Department, which we won, that enables John to come and spend a whole week here in Uganda, interacting every single day with the Franklin ambassadors. Did you enjoy it, ambassadors? And then we said, okay, even though they are not yet ambassadors, they will have an opportunity to meet John, the director of the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders at Syracuse University, but also a professor at the very university. whom you will learn from, not only for fellowship, the Mandela Washington Fellowship purposes, but also for your leadership and for your competence in the public sector. So John, I would like to thank you for making my dream possible. I'd like to appreciate your partnership with me and now with Franklin. And I know that this, you are impressed by the forthcomingness of the team that you met this morning. I promised that we are more than the ambassadors you met in the week. Here we have about 50. On the Zoom link, we had 100, we were full, and we had about 38 to 40 on the YouTube link. That, John, is work on our part because all our participants cannot fit here and would love to accommodate all our participants at a certain point. But before we get there, we will work with what we have, which is we will do registration for those who can come physically, and then others will be online until facilities enable us to have all of you in the room. I'd like now to talk about the ships. Anyone still remembers what ships means from the 2024 cohort? Have you heard about it? Do you know its meaning? I can volunteer this because when it was being coined, I was present. And ships means scaling heights in public service. And we are using the model that world-renowned leadership expert, coach and mentor, John C. Maxwell, doctor, uses for change in communities. They are called Change Your World tables. We introduce this to you because we believe in a values-based leadership. And so these, what we call the tables, the ships Change Your World tables, will be happening every week on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. We chose 8 p.m. because we do not want you to leave the work you are doing because of this. Because one of the reasons we picked you is because you are doing something. We only have a few students who are exceptional. Maybe I don't think they are more than 4. For them, really, because they were exceptional. But the rest of you are in employment or you have organizations, you are doing something. Now, we wouldn't want to divert that attention. That's why we make it strictly 1 hour on Wednesdays at night. When we expect that that is your time, so we are taking away from your time, not your employer's or your job's time or your business's time. So it is at 9, it is from 8 to 9 on Wednesdays. It will be exclusively online using Google Meet. It will be happening in small groups of at most 12, but you should be just 10. We received some comments from you that some of you are not yet on the ship's wagon. And we are going to ask you, Timothy, where are you? Timothy is actually one of the people who got you onto the group, the WhatsApp group that we have, Timothy and Leah. So I'm going to ask you that if you are not in a ship, talk to Timothy, but there's also a sheet, I think, going around for you to register so that we will post for you where you belong. Do not panic. You will get into the ship, but we require of you a few things. Consistency. Please attend those tables consistently. Your facilitator will be releasing a lesson every week. In fact, today and latest tomorrow, you will receive the first lesson. These tables are 6 weeks plus 6 weeks, which equals 12 weeks of transformation, and then an action center, which is a project in a high school. For now, do not worry about the high school. Now, that is the life the ambassadors are enjoying. In fact, next week, we are headed to Ginger for a high school outreach, but we are not taking you. And the reason we are not taking you is because we would not want to send you out until we've equipped you. We know you've been equipped elsewhere, but would like you to be equipped in a manner we have also been equipped before we send you to the deep end. So we would love to go with you, but not yet. But as soon as you finish, your graduation will be in November, then you will enroll as an ambassador, and then we will take you there. But you have a role to play. The school where you will take your outreach is the school where we will take the program next year. So think about those schools where you went. Think about those schools where your children are going. Think about those schools that you think we should have a program. Let's not talk about the school outreach yet, so that we do not preempt the things that are coming ahead. But just for you to know that that is how it works. So effective Wednesday. And my dear friends online on YouTube and on Zoom, I hope you can hear me right. We will be meeting on Wednesdays in our small groups from 8 to 9 using Google Meet. Your leaders, your facilitators will be sending a lesson. There are 12 lessons in 2 sections. 6 weeks, values table, plus 6 weeks, action table, and then plus an action center, which is a project in the high school. That should take us to around July. Keep your eye in the forum, the main forum, but also if you don't understand stuff, keep in touch with your facilitator. They will always have that information. So when are we starting the tables? On Wednesday 20th, this week. We told you that you will always be updated on what is going on. And we promised that in March, we would start the tables. So this week, on Wednesday at 8 p.m., your facilitator will be waiting for you on the link they are going to share with you. But today and latest tomorrow, they are going to share the first lesson that you're going to discuss on Wednesday. Please pick that lesson, print it, and go through it. We do believe that once we've gone through those 12 weeks, we will be getting on closer to the same page as the ambassadors are, but it will not yet be complete. So that's when the tables will start on Wednesday. They are online, they are on Google Meet, they are from 8 to 9 strictly. Friends, don't log in at 8:45. And also don't log in 15 minutes past and start telling people for you how the link is not working. Send that message at 8:45 so that the facilitator and administrators know how to help you. Because when the session has already begun and you hadn't tested it, and now they have to attend to you, it takes away from the discussion, yet it is 1 hour strictly. So log in 15 minutes earlier. And I know your facilitators will assign you different roles. Make sure that it is 1 hour from 8 to 9. I want to talk about something small. on communication. Our communication will come in 3 ways. Of course, there is this communication that we make when we meet monthly. There will be communication on email. There will be communication on the main group, on the main WhatsApp group. There will be also communication in your table, in your sheet. If possible, pin those chats so that it is easier for you to get them. If possible, also pin the links. For example, for today's session, if you're not coming physically, that way you will stay on course. If you miss a few administrative things, you're likely to get off track and it will not be good for you. So I encourage you, look out for yourself. Be an activist in favor of you. Don't be the one who is always lagging. Be the one who is always in the know. And I'd like to appreciate some of you. I was seeing you in the ships, giving information that has already been communicated and some of your colleagues didn't have it and you gave it. That is leadership. So thank you. Be that. Be the one who helps others. And when they have helped you, sorry about that, friends, I believe it is well. I'm not going to go there because my ambassadors are there. So be the one who is in the know so that you're able to help others to get in the know. We talked about a contribution that you are going to make. We would like you to know that this course is given to you free of charge. So you are not paying to get access to this program. The only payment you made is in the essays you wrote, is in the internet you'll be using and the gadgets you have to access the content, and then the time that you put in. You are not paying for this. You are not paying for me, you're not paying for John, you're not paying for Rachel, not any of the ambassadors. We have, however, asked you to contribute 100,000 for a package that we have for you that this program would not facilitate for you. These are going to be, it is yours. And there are resources that we expect you to have to go through the program. Now that is going to happen within your ships. All of us eventually will do it, but your ships facilitator is going to guide that. It is 100,000. We will give you a code where you will pay that money because we would like it to go straight to the account for this program. And so for now, do not panic. Also, do not bring the money here. Save it. And then when it is time for you to make the contribution, you will wire it. And that is the only way we will be able to give you the package that of the resources that we think you will need for this program to the end. It is not payment for this program. The payment for this program would never be 100,000. So please keep that token with you until your facilitator or until we make the communication of when you can remit that contribution, then for you to get the resources that you need. Would like to ask you to follow us on our social media handles. Now, every time we post in your group, some of you ask, why is this happening? No, we are only saying, please see what is happening. And who knows, some of the programs may be relevant for the organizations where you work. So we do not post it there because we are saying it is yours. We would like you to keep in the know of what Franklin is doing. Since now you are part of the Franklin and American Spaces fraternity. So Please go to our YouTube, to our X, to our Instagram, to our website and follow us and get these updates. And on that note, I would like you to know that our sessions, our monthly sessions will always be on our YouTube channel. So do not ask us to post in email or in the group the presentations. By policy, we do not do that. We preserve the copyright of the authors of that content. However, the presentation will always be recorded and it is on the Franklin Institute YouTube channel. With that, my dear friends, I believe it is time for us to take the group photo, and I'm not the right person to invite you for it. Therefore, I am going to ask my hosts to pick the microphone from me. But before they do, allow me to invite someone. I was talking for Franklin, but this program is offered to you in partnership between Franklin and the US Embassy in Uganda. Now, if you think that that is not true, join me to receive Francis Eki, representing the US Embassy and the American Spaces, to come and share briefly with you what this center is about, what programs the embassy has for you beyond the PML, and how our relationships are going. Francis, I'm going to request you to come here so that our friends online are able to see you, to see your face and not your back. Thank you for coming. Please receive Francis Kammersley. Again, shall we appreciate Shalom? Okay. One more time. Thank you.
Hello, hello. All right, good. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Wow, I'm so excited to see you all. Thank you for such a warm welcome. Thank you very much, Shalon, for this opportunity to speak to these public management leaders. It's such a great privilege and honor for me to be here with you this morning. My name, like Shalon mentioned, is Francis Eki, and born and raised in Uganda, but I work with the US Embassy in Kampala. And I'll share a little bit more about that. But before I do that, I want to congratulate all of you for the courageous step to take this program, and also congratulate you for making it to be selected for this fellowship. So a big round of applause to yourselves for that. And also before I continue, I also want to share that I think this is a very important program, and I think the US Embassy shares the vision that Shalon has for the public management sector in Uganda. And I think you people are really the engine. You're the people that drive the positive change that would like to see for not only Uganda, but the whole African continent. So I think you have to take this with such grace and a lot of grit and courage, because the work that you're taking on is not simple work, right? One of my mentors always talks about doing hard things because we need to justify our privilege. Those of us that are fortunate enough to be healthy, fortunate enough to have had good education, or fortunate enough to have the kinds of jobs that you all have, we need to justify our privilege by doing the hard things, right? So every day that you wake up, remind yourself that, you know, because of your privilege, you're really required to do the hard things. Those of you that read scriptures, there's a verse that talks about, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I put that as a charge to you, that you guys are, the country is counting on you to be great leaders, right? And so with that being said, the US Embassy is really all about connecting Ugandans and the American people and the country of the US on issues of shared interest. And for the last 60 years or so, the US government has built a strong friendship with the people of Uganda. And you see it through a lot of the different programs that the US mission does. So the US Embassy has a lot of different agencies. So those of you that are familiar with USAID or CDC or the National Institute of Health, PEPFAR. So there's so many programs that the US government does in Uganda. And I'm hoping that there'll be an opportunity for you guys to read the report to the Ugandan people. So every year, because of accountability and transparency, the US government gives a report to Ugandan people just to share with you what we are doing in Uganda and what are we spending in Uganda. The US government spends over $1 billion in Uganda every year. And a lot of this money actually goes into the communities, into transforming the lives of ordinary Ugandans. If you remember, during the Ebola outbreak, the US government was really in support with the Ministry of Health to help with that. When there was COVID, the US government, provided a lot of vaccines for the Ugandan people. Those of you that are familiar with the work of PEPFAR for over the last 20 plus years, it's an initiative by President Bush that has really helped provide ARVs and HIV treatment and all of these kinds of things to, the Ugandan population. That is just a little bit about some of the other broad programs that the US government does in Uganda. But one key element of the work that we do is also to develop the next generation of leaders. And we do this through different kinds of programs. We do this through grants that we provide to some local organizations to run leadership development programs, but also the US State Department also has programs that you yourselves can be able to participate in. How many of you have heard about the Mandela Washington Fellowship? Just about quarter to half of you. It's my privilege to actually announce to some of you who don't know that Shalon is actually an alumna of the Mandela Washington Fellowship. So the Mandela Washington Fellowship is part of the Young African Leadership Initiative of President Obama. He had this bold vision to develop leaders all across Africa. And there's two flagship programs through which that is done. One of them is the Young African Leadership Regional Young African Regional Leadership Center. There's some of them. Oh, you're a Yali fellow? Awesome. So we have some Yali alumni here. Please raise your hands. Actually, you could stand up so everybody sees you. And I'll tell you why. Let's clap for them. So the Yali program, yes, you can see it. So please mark their faces. So after this, you network with them and ask them Muchikola Mutia, like, how do you apply and all of that. But the Yali regional leadership centers are all across the continent. There's, I think, one in every region: Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, and Northern Africa. And so for East Africa, the regional center is in Nairobi, University of Kenyatta University. So what happens is they select high promising leaders from the region and bring them together for about, is it 4 weeks or 6 weeks? 4 weeks. For about 4 weeks in an intensive program that includes mentorship, networking, and also like a lot of course material. And it's designed with 3 tracks. One of the tracks is business. So for those of you that are starting your own businesses or running your own businesses, the second track is civic engagement. Those of you that are doing work in the civil society, nonprofit world, and then there's public management. So public management, those of you that work with, the public and work with government and those kinds of things, there's a track specifically for you. So it's very designed to really, develop your leadership skills and leadership potential and set you on a trajectory to increase your impact. Now, on top of that, there is the Mandela Washington Fellowship that Shalon was part of. The Mandela Washington Fellowship is also modeled similarly. 3 tracks: business, civic engagement, and public management. Now, the uniqueness about that is that this time the Mandela Washington Fellowship is done in the US. So the US State Department collaborates with local universities in the US. And so when you are successful, you join several leaders from across Africa in a cohort, and then it's fully funded. Both the regional center in Nairobi, they fund, your transportation, accommodation, all of that, and then also for the US program. So the US program is also very highly competitive, limited numbers, but very much a meaningful experience and life transforming. So you're in the US for about 6 weeks in these universities, listening from experts, professors, and all of that. And after that, hopefully, it also increases your profile and enables you to come back and increase your impact. So for those of you that are interested, I don't know if Shalon has some time, please grab her and ask her a few questions about the Mandela Washington experience. So it's an annual, or both of them are annual, but I think the yearly regional center has several cohorts in a year, right? So please look out for those applications when they are announced. And then also, still as part of the Young African Leadership Network, Young African Leadership Initiative, there's what they call the Young African Leadership Network. That one you don't have to compete for. You just go online on the website. So just go and look up the Young African Leadership Network, sign up. And when you sign up, you have access to so many online courses. They're all free of charge. You can do them at your pace. And then I think they provide certificates at the end. So for those of you who are lifelong learners, I would encourage you to do that as well. So that's the one program that I would really love for you guys to get excited about. Now, how many of you have been to this center before? Okay, also about a quarter. So for those of you who are here for the first time, I'm really happy to have you, and I hope this is just the beginning of many more visits. So the American Center is part of a program called the American Spaces. All around the world, to almost 200 countries in the world, we have American centers or American corners. Now, the American Spaces have a similar connect Ugandans or local communities with the United States. And we do this through several programs. So here in Uganda, we have 2 American Spaces, this one being one of them. So this is the American Center. We have the Nile Explorer bus. The Nile Explorer bus is a mobile American space. It's a unique bus, technologically equipped. It's got computers, laptops, all the tech you can think about. And so we travel all across the country to different secondary schools. We've been to all the regions of the country. So we do that every year. We move to secondary schools, especially under-resourced schools, and we provide these young leaders with skills in science, technology, engineering, and math. We have a component on civic engagement. We have a component on health where we discuss HIV and sexual gender-based violence and related issues. We also have a leadership component and career guidance. And then we also have an American culture component. Then here at the American Center, everything that I'm mentioning is all free of charge, paid for by the US government. Here at the center, we have several resources. We have computers at the back that are connected to the internet. You can come in here and make use of them. We have a library over here. You can come and check out books on leadership, history, science, technology, and math. If you're interested in entrepreneurship, business, we've got books on that as well. Over there, we've got magazines on US culture, business, Time magazine, all those kind of interesting magazines. Over there, we've got documentaries, DVDs, movies that you can check out as well. And then on top of that, we have 5 thematic areas that we run programming on. So this space usually hosts different panel discussions, workshops, trainings, and those kinds of programs along 5 thematic areas. One of our programs is on entrepreneurship. We do a lot of entrepreneurship programs. We do programs on science, technology, engineering, and math. We do programs on power of creativity, which is around the creative arts and the creative industry. We do programs on Education USA. For those of you who are excited to do graduate studies in the United States, this is your one-stop center to get all the information that you need about how to choose a university. Which universities can you apply to? What programs do they offer? Do they have scholarships? How do you apply? All those questions can be answered here. We have a resident Education USA advisor who sits here and does both one-on-one coaching and also group sessions. So we provide that. We also provide resources for you to prepare for the entrance exams like the GREs or the GMAT or the LSATs if you want to do law school. We have all that material here. And if you have siblings or relatives or friends who are interested in the undergraduate programs, we have resources as well to practice for the SATs. We have a very competitive program called the Opportunity Fund. It's like a small fellowship. We select only about 10 people, so it's really very competitive, where we offer hands-on support. We help you pay for the entrance exams. If you're successful and you get in, we pay for your flight to the US and that sort of thing. It's a very competitive program, but we shall be announcing the application session very soon. The final thematic area that we work on is American culture and values. So here we run movie nights, American movies. We run TED Talks. So we run TED Talks here on different topics and have discussions. And then one of my favorite programs is called the Fireside Chat, where we host a Ugandan expert and a US expert to really discuss issues of shared interest. We have talked about like democracy, civil rights, indigenous people, women's rights, and all different kinds of topics that are of interest to both Ugandan and American people. With that being said, I would love for you guys to keep coming. All you have to do is register to become a member of the American Center. And as soon as you register, you can immediately borrow a book, keep it for about 2 weeks, bring it back or extend for a little bit. Please make the most out of these resources. We're really very excited. One last thing. As leaders, I implore you to be values-based and impact-driven. Values of integrity are very important. Values of excellence are very important. Values of humility are very important. Compassion. All these are very important skills. I'm very confident that through this program, you will be equipped to even be more effective and impactful in your areas of work. Thank you very much. Enjoy all your sessions and have a wonderful weekend.
Shall we give Mr. Eki a PML applause? Again. Should we officially say that our PML applause is 3 times? Okay. Shall we appreciate him the way we do in PML? Thank you very much. You are wonderful people. Mr. Francis Eki, thank you very much for your wonderful remarks, for informing us. I would like to inform you, I do not know how to say this in a modest way because it is a high achievement. Among our Franklin ambassadors, we have 2 Washington Fellowship winners for this year. Shall we have Jab Shots and Jack come up and wave in a very modest way, Jab Shots? You have to be humble. Humility, please. So right here, Jab Shots won himself a Washington Fellowship, a Mandela Washington Fellowship. You are wonderful students. You catch on very fast. Thank you. I think Seriazi is out there doing things in the background, making sure that this happens. And now I would like to invite Shalon to come and not only give a PML thanks to our guests, but an African thanks. You know how we do it in Africa. Where I come from, they say, ngumture niyo murongore. So when you take something off someone's head, when a visitor comes to visit you and they carry something big for you, something good for you, when they are going back, you give them something good back, right? And our host and our visitor have been wonderful to us. please, the African way.
Excellent, excellent. Do we have any qualms about her performance? Appreciate her for me. Thank you. Now, Francis, I would like you to join me so that the Franklin Institute, friends, this should have been Rachel, but Rachel just bullied me into doing this, and I obliged. So the Franklin Institute appreciates you for the time you have given us and for the support you give this program. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
He says that I should get closer.
Oh, okay.
So they take our official photo.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much.
Excellent. And now, Professor John McPeak, the Franklin Institute says that you did well this morning. And from us to you, receive this small token of appreciation. A culture that we pick and keep at the Franklin Institute. Thank you, John.
Friends, I believe John deserves a warm up.
Thank you very much. Penny?
And now, finally, the Mandela Washington hello. Jab shots. Could you come and take the microphone off my hands and give us direction on how to take this group photo? We are having our group photo, and after the group photo, we have some tea at the back. You are welcome to a cup of wonderful Ugandan coffee. And we can leave at liberty as long as we do it at midday. So departure is at leisure as long as it is at midday. Friends, please remember to like our pages, to follow them. If you have missed anything in the presentation, please go back to YouTube, watch it again, and find it. The fellow has commanded me to continue just a little bit as he focuses, as he puts all your faces in focus. I think this is the time when we put on our best smiles, especially the people at the front, so that we can look like we are going to have tea at the end. We might not have eaten just yet, but we are going to eat. And friends online, oh, thank you so very much for staying with us to the very end. Our wonderful followers on YouTube, we appreciate you. The people on Zoom, you are as important as the people in the room, if not more. More so because you are more than the people in the room. So thank you very much. Okay. The fellow says that we are going to have Professor John over here at the front in one of these wonderful seats. If you choose to sit in the red one, we shall know your political leaning in our Ugandan environment. If you choose the blue one, we shall also know. We have a flag at the front. It has the yellow. It represents the yellow. So yes, we'll have Professor John and Shalon take the seats at the front. Oh, I see what you did there. Thank you, fellow. We see why he was chosen. We see why he won. We can see. We had our doubts earlier, but now we are sure that it was there was no rigging. Okay, within the polls, friends, let's move and get within the polls. I don't know if there are people at the front Pardon? Oh, Rachel, could you come and take a seat right here at the front? The vision bearer has asked that you and I take these wonderful seats. We thank you. We thank you. Yeah? No, we are. Well, as we wait for the photo to be taken, as we bring in the last number of people, I will tell you a little story. There was a little ant that got onto an elephant's back, and as the elephant was crossing the bridge began to shake. Nisi, is that where you're staying? Okay, as the bridge was shaking, the ant looked to the neighbors far and wide and said, "Friends, see how strong I am. I am shaking the bridge." So because of speaking after the ambassador, I just got myself a seat over here. So see how strong I am. I'm shaking the bridge. I believe when he says jab, you say shots. You're welcome to the tea, please, and then departure at leisure by midday. Our wonderful friends online, we have taken a screenshot and you are released to leave. Your leisure can be now. People, thank you very much for coming. It's been wonderful.
Hello, team. I'm looking for Ship 11 members. If you are here and you are part of my team, Ship 11, I would like to meet you before we leave.
And dear friends, this is the time we also use to take tea, but also to take some photos. So feel free to be in the lineup so that you can have some photos of you taken. Thank you very much.
Ship 11, please. Ship 11, I would like to meet you, my dear members. I would like to meet you, my dear members. And we take a very good photo here. Ship 11.
Thank you. Members of ship 8, I'm looking for you. If in ship 8, let's meet in that corner briefly as you take your tea. Thank you, ship 8 members.
Yes, hello. Ship 24. Anyone present, please come and we meet. Ship 24. Ship 24. Your leader is here waiting for you.
Ship 19. Ship 19.
Ship